My first relates very much to the root chakra. So this is a very grounding energy, is what makes us feel safe. For us to be safe and to understand who I am, we need to really connect with our senses and the elements around us. So with fire, air, water, and earth. So understanding that through touch, through our senses, we can ground ourselves, we can connect as well with nature and everything that we have around us, with the resources of nourishment, with the resources of what we're drinking, and also the environment that we live in. We also need to understand our traditions, our ancestors, the connection to everything that brought us here and who we really are. When we make these connections, when we start working with this energy, we really find balance and we define ourselves better in the sense of who I am. I wanted to also link up the importance to the basics, so the foundations of our health. So we need to really look after our body, and at a basic level that entails good sleep and rest, making sure that we are hydrating ourselves, and also making sure that we are breathing. Our body repairs when we are sleeping. If we have big meals before going to bed, our body is busy digesting that food and spreading the nourishment around the body. So it's not given a chance to actually perform that repair work that it needs to do. So we need to really be mindful of that. From a breathing point of view, we obviously breathe on a daily basis, otherwise we wouldn't be alive. And whilst that is bringing oxygen in, is also about bringing energy. We need to have deep breaths. Sometimes the body reminds us of that when we go to yawn, for example. What we forget is the lymphatic system, for example, does not have a pump. Our heart pushes the blood around the body, but our breathing is actually moving the diaphragm, which causes the lymphatic system to move. So when this happens is when our body detoxes. So breathing deeply is also allowing our body to get rid of matter that we do not need, toxicity. Lastly, we want to think about hydration as well. So our body needs a minimum of 2 liters per day to just function. That translates as well to 2 glasses of water for a baby, 4 glasses for a child, and 8 glasses for us as adults. But the hydration is really important because it's lubricating our body. We are 70% made of water. Our brain is 80% made of water. So when we are dehydrated, our brain starts constricting and contracting, and we experience headaches and migraines, for example. And yet we don't understand that that is just simply being dehydrated. We get to understand as well our emotions. So as we get to know our environment, we become certain of everything that makes us who we are. When we work with certainty, this is about being stable, is about understanding what makes us tick, what are our childhood traumas, what is the makeup of our emotions, and understanding what no longer serves us, so negative beliefs, for example, that we might be carrying with us all of our life. So when we have this sense of certainty, we can also understand that we are safe. We understand how we operate, everything that is around us, and that gives us that stability that we need. This is our creative center where we create energy and where we create fertility, we create movement for our body. So from an emotional point of view, we want to start thinking about where emotions come from. And actually, sometimes connecting that to our body is a very interesting element. It's something that we can start getting an understanding of various things that are going on in our body. In Chinese medicine, they also believed that every emotion lives in a specific organ. So, for example, we experience grief and bereavement in our chest. We experience anger in our liver, worry in our stomach, love in our heart. The small intestine is all about sorting the good and the bad, so indecisiveness. The large intestine is about letting go. The bladder is about guilt. The kidneys is about fear. So when we start connecting with pains and niggles that we might experience in our physical body, we can relate sometimes to the emotional causes of our disease, for example. That doesn't give you necessarily the cure, but it might give you some insight in some of the emotional work that you need to do to resolve some of your problems. This is also about creativity. How do we want to feel? What do we want to create? And of course, also relates to sexuality and fertility. So do we want to create a baby, or do we want to create a life for us that is better than the experience that we had so far? Variety very much comes into this to play. So when it comes to our mindset, in opposition to certainty that we explored during Secret One, in this particular sense, variety is that zest for life. Variety is the spice of life. So many of us might feel that we are drawn to new experiences, to pushing ourselves to explore the unknown. And, the two balance each other out. So some people want to be very certain, some people want to be very much uncertain and look for variety in their life. Yet, we need a little bit of both, as much as one might prefer one over the other. Nevertheless, variety is important because it adds perspective. It adds just different shades to our life, to our understanding of the things that are important, and sometimes those lessons that can really push us forward. When we're talking about creativity, we can also relate that to our body. How can we use our body to create, not just from the point of view of procreation, but also from the point of view of movement? Do we want a better body? Do we want to build up? Do we want to slim down? Do we want to become artistic and dance, or do we want to perform in different ways? My third relates to the solar plexus. So this is our digestive system and is also where we gather nourishment and also where we push out toxicity. So we need to connect with the resources that we have around us. What are those foods that heal us and those foods that perhaps create inflammation? Getting a better sense of the relationship that we have with everything around us from the planet. But also we want to start thinking about what are the resources that can help us accomplish what we want to do. So the energy of the solar plexus is very much about our capabilities. What can we create? Our sense of purpose. It's also where we connect from an emotional point of view to our sense of worth, our sense of purpose. What do I want to create? What can I do? Yeah, and it's about getting that courage to step into that energy and moving forward. The solar plexus energy is also about happiness as well as sadness. So we want to make sure that we're doing things that we are happy to do. And some people might even explore this concept in yoga with the sun salutation. This is very much that energy of opening ourselves to our day. The heart chakra. This is the center of our love, of course. Love for everyone out there, love for our partners, but most importantly, love for ourselves. This is where we really get to experience gratitude. Is where we also start thinking about compassion for other people and understanding that compassion is about suffering together, but it's also where we can help each other. So this sense of being connected to everyone out there. When we are in our heart, we can really truly feel happiness. This is where we are exploring and living our passions. From a physical point of view, our heart is also the pump for our blood, so sending nourishment to ourselves, looking after ourselves. Self-love is about that as well. From an energetic point of view, the heart chakra is also the midpoint, having 3 chakras below and 3 above. So this is an incredible portal that harmonizes everything within our body, as above, so below. So it's really where we want to live most of our day. From a mindset point of view, also relates to what our values are, so what we feel passionate about, and also about relationships, again, to ourselves, to a loved one, or to everyone else. So exploring how communication between people works, how those interactions relate to answering our own love needs, feeling loved, or the sense of belonging to a community. They are all very important, and the values around this are incredible when we are connected to our heart. The throat chakra. So this is very much about communication. And very often we forget that listening is just as important to speaking. So understanding what someone is saying to us and having that universal pause to actually process what they're telling us before we respond, so that we can really judge what the most appropriate answer should be. Equally, we want to be able to speak our truth. Being authentic is extremely important. People can read even if they don't hear us, whether we are being truthful, whether we are being connected with them. And this energy around the throat chakra is also important in terms of connecting with other people, with our communities. So this sense of contributing, to the world out there. And we want to really understand the importance of finding your individuality within the group. So the space that sits between the listening and the speaking is our ether, our own individuality, our sense of being unique. And this is something that we really want to tune in and understand so that we can develop this authenticity and to be able to portray ourselves as our true selves to other people. From a physical point of view, this also relates very much to suppression. So when we're not being ourselves, we can suppress our emotions, but suppression is also physical, because when we are not dealing with our emotions, very often we are turned to things that we can be addicted to, whether that is sugar, alcohol, recreational drugs, for example, and the impact that they have on our physical body is immense. So from a mindset point of view, this relates to our attitude to life, our attitude towards other people, our attitude to the world, and really understanding that can push us forward to achieve more. The energy of the throat chakra is very much about expression. What are those lessons that I can pass on? What can I share? How can I connect with other groups and people and contribute to their world? Our third eye energy. This is very much about intuition. So it's about growth, it's about understanding the lessons and how we can develop from it. So where do we get the insights from? Sometimes it's about learning to tune in to the wisdom, to the signs that our body can give us, for example. So what are the pains and niggles, what exactly is going on, understanding anatomy, physiology, pathology, and all those subjects that get us to understand how we function. But intuition is also about understanding what is out there. And of course, we can experience growth and development from learning through exploration of books, of programs, of teachings, webinars, seminars, and everything that can come our way and enrich our library of knowledge. Yet we also have some experiences and sometimes knowledge that comes from unknown sources or sources that are difficult to explain, whether this could be a sign, a premonition, a deja vu, or sometimes these freak experiences that nobody has taught us to read and understand. Yet they can give really important meaning and direction to our life. How can we tap into these energies? Through our third eye activation, for example, we alter our mindset. This can be achieved in many different ways. We can start simply by doing a breathwork class, for example, and that can release DMT within our brain, giving us a state of bliss that sometimes can give an awakening, a spiritual awakening even. We can also alter our mindset through meditation and really tapping into different areas of our brain that perhaps we haven't got to understand yet. We can also achieve this through sound therapy, understanding the power of frequencies and vibrations and how they interact with our body, our brain, and also our spirit. And finally, there's a huge area of development around the use of psychedelics, not from a recreational point of view, but really from that ability to change the frequencies of our brain and therefore really accessing new states of mind and consciousness, which are really important when we want to explore something that perhaps we are yet to know. All of this gives us a very new concept of how we get this knowledge from outside of our brain, from outside of our body too. And it's very much the power of intuition, working with our own sensations and making sense of all of those signs. From a mindset point of view, it relates to our beliefs, which ultimately are dictated by the experiences that we had in life. But if we can start tapping into the unknown, into new wisdom and into new knowledge, we can change what we believe in, which ultimately changes our reality. And if we change our reality, we can then create anything we want out of life. Wouldn't that be an amazing perspective? The crown chakra. the most spiritual center of our energy system. Regardless of whether you feel spiritual or religious, this is about developing a sense of consciousness, sometimes an awakening that can be very important for us to feel aligned and for us to feel that we have a connection with the universe and everything that there is out there, with the oneness that some people define as so important to them.